Hello everyone and welcome to another video. So there's been a lot of buzz going around about an infinite Lux combo deck. So I just wanted to real quick go over it. I want to emphasize that this is not my deck list. I'm just going to kind of give my perspective and kind of talk through stuff because I have played Lux before. I play Lux quite a bit, I should say. It's not just before. So I wanted to give my opinions on the deck list, and then I have gotten all the physical cards together to kind of show you guys through how the combo works, because it's quite a thing to behold. So I'll just kind of flip through the cards and show you guys how it works mechanically, so you can kind of get a feel for it, maybe in a more visual fashion, just because some people really like to see it played out. But first, let's get into the deck list. First off, we have our Legend Lux. She is only chosen because her chosen champion has the access to give you a little bit extra mana for spells, which can be useful for starting off the combo. And then her leader ability has card draw in it, allowing you to get through to your end state a little bit faster. This combo does require you have an empty library. And that means that any card draw you can get is going to be great. It runs 6 and 6 Order and Mind Runes. I don't think the ratio is crazy important on this one, but 6 and 6 is what they went with. For battlefields, Aspirin's Climb to give you a little bit extra time to do your setup, and then the other two are for accelerating you into your max runes, which is important because you also need to be at max runes when you're at your empty deck. So having these is a good way of getting some extra runes here. This one is when you hold, each player channels one. This also works for your opponent, so if your opponent is holding against you, they're going to be ramping you. And then this other one is when a unit here is returned to a player's hand, that player may pay 1 to channel a rune exhausted. We have these retreats here, and this just gives you a whole lot of acceleration because retreat also gives you a rune. So that's a lot of runes that you can get off of some of those early plays. Going into the list, our chosen champion, like I mentioned, is Lux Crown Guard. This taps to give you some extra mana specifically for spells. Can be useful for helping you get through the that first time through the loop, through some interaction by just giving you some extra things. Next up we have Retreat. This is a card that lets you ramp and protect some of your key pieces. If your opponent is trying to target with a removal, you can use a Retreat to give yourself the ability to either try again next turn or otherwise try to set up a good play. After that we have Sacrifice, which is get rid of a mighty unit to draw 2 cards and channel a rune exhausted. Again, with the theme of getting deeper, but it's also drawing you extra cards. Stupefy, another, you just use it for drawing cards. This can also make it useful to trade some of your very small number of units into your opponents to try to slow them down. You are really not focused on trying to win the game here. You're trying to stop your opponent from winning and then set up your infinite combo and kind of go from there. So Stupefy can allow some of your stuff to trade. Next up we have Death Grip, which is a useful draw one and lets you KO one of your guys if your opponent is trying to get him off the board and then you want some extra value. It also helps if your opponent is just explicitly not killing some of your Death Knell units. You can use Death Grip to trigger those on your own. After that we have Forge of the Future. This is one of the key cards for the combo. It makes a 1/1 recruit and then you can kill it to recycle 4 cards from trash, which is important because this is how you do your looping. You get to put cards back in your deck and then draw them, and then put cards back in your deck and draw them, and so on and so on. Next up we have Rally the Troops. If I remember correctly in the combo, this is just for making your guys infinitely large. It's not a requirement for all of the combos. It's just a nice to have, which can kind of get you out of a couple spots where you might lose to other things. particularly if you're facing maybe an Aurora opponent and you wanted to make infinite recruits, then Flurry of Blades would wipe you out, but if they all have one extra thing on them, then it doesn't. Next up, we have Shadow's Call. Give a unit temporary, and then draw 2. Again, just trying to get through your deck so that you're ready for the combo. After that, we have Soaring Scout. Death Knell, Channel Rune Exhausted. Helps you try to kind of force your opponent to do something. They can't just sit back and try to play only counterspells against you and try to beat you that way. You have a little bit of stuff to put in, and then you can always Death Grip it and Shadow's Call it to draw a bunch of cards as well. After that, we have Sumpworks map. This one is purely for drawing through your deck. When your opponent goes to score a point, you just play this out for 2, and you get to draw a card off of it. And then if they are scoring 2 in the turn, then you even get a second draw off of it, which is great on rate. Next up, Watchful Sentry, similar to Soaring Scout, except it's giving you cards, so helping you get through the deck. After that, we have Fiora Worthy. This is one of the important cards for turning your infinite into a win. So when we go over the combo, I will explain her role there. But just know that she is necessary for making some of the wins work. So after that, we have Lecturing Yordle. On play, draw card. Another just draw card thing. Also represents a body that you can use to try to slow down your opponent by just trading it into their 2-drop so that they don't just get a free hold off of their 2-drop. After that, we have Renata Glask, another important part for the combo because it allows you to score your points all at once. This actually goes with Fiora. She can be made ready with the rally the troops so that it can come in ready. And then you can use it to score all of your points once you have the battlefields. After that, we have Sprite Burst. Sprite Burst is a way to make infinite sprites with the combo, allowing you to have essentially an unbreakable hold by having infinite sprites in all your battlefields. Echo, very important part of the combo. He allows you to kind of churn with your resources. The combo is essentially recycling Echo and killing him and drawing 4 in a single turn. So that is kind of the main angle for the deck, is kind of going through the deck like that. Super important that he is in the deck. If you lose all of them to banish or something like that, then you wouldn't be able to win. After that, we have Progress Day, just a straight draw card. In Lux, this is a draw 5 for 6 and a blue rune, which is right on rate. And then we have Ruination as kind of a emergency. My opponent has been setting up all game. If you can Ruination at a point early enough in the game to where they have difficulties reestablishing, this can be game-winning here. Then in the sideboard, we have a couple extra Death Grips as ways to force the action on these guys. Another Yordle to push through, Sprite Burst in case these get interacted with, Ash to snipe opposing interaction, and then a Time Warp to turn infinite guys into an immediate win if you can... you're essentially cutting off your opponent's turns, essentially. And I'm not sure if this one is loopable. I will repeat or come back to you guys if it is a repeatable, loopable card in the deck. I don't think that it is, though. So that is the deck list. Now I'm going to switch over to a hand cam and kind of go through the combo step by step. So I will see you guys over there. So now going through the infinite loops, there are a couple preconditions that you need to have. So first up, we need a Shadow's Call, a Sacrifice, and a Forge of the Futures in the trash. These you can get in the trash pretty easily during the course of the game. You're going to be using these two for drawing cards. Any spare guy you have will work for your Sacrifice. as long as it is mighty. You'll play out your Echo at some point in the game. You'll use Sacrifice on him just to get this into the yard. And when you play out Echo plus Sacrifice, you end up getting the rune that you recycled back anyway, so it doesn't put you behind on tempo. Shadow's Call you always want to play already. And Forge of the Future, the kill list on this is up to 4, so you can play it out in the early game and then just whenever it's convenient, sacrifice it, recycling 0 cards to get it into the trash. So first condition, those 3 cards in the trash. Next condition is you have an empty library. This is the hardest one to acquire. Usually you want to get yourself down to 1 card, and then on your draw for turn, you'll be on an empty library, which is not enough to burn out. You have to try to draw from an empty library to burn out. But that's usually the tough part. Just be careful with how you get yourself down. You don't want to burn out, because then that resets the game and you pretty much lose at that point. The last thing, or the next thing you need is all of your runes. All 12 of them. This is usually pretty achievable. You're trying not to use your runes in the late game once you get to this point. And the sacrifice stuff will help you get them back, or retreat or something like that. The last piece that you need for this combo, this part of the combo, is the following cards in your hand. You need 1 Echo, 1 Forge of the Future, 1 Shadow's Call, and 1 Sacrifice. Once you have these things all set up, you can execute what I'm going to call combo or loop 1B, or 1A, I should say 1A. This is 1A, and then we'll go over 1B later, which is a small variation on it that has a different end point and is useful for setting up for other cards. All right, so with this setup, what we're going to do is we're going to rest all of our runes to make 12 energy. I'll do energy on this dial and power on this dial. For this first combo, we're not going to be generating any excess power, so it'll just stay at 0, but for future combos, we will be doing that. First thing we are going to do is we're going to use 2 of our energy to play out the Forge of the Future, and we will immediately activate it, recycling these 3 cards. When they're recycled, they are in a random order, so be aware of that. And the other part to Forge of the Future is when you play it, you get a rested recruit. I have a sliver here. He's looks like a Victor recruit. I also play Magic, so I just have this one off to the side. So that is Forge of the Future, makes you a recruit and then recycles your 3 cards that were required to be there. Next up, you're going to use 5 energy and 1 power to play out Echo. You will come out rested, which is fine. After you've done that, you're going to use 2 more energy to do Shadow's Call, targeting Echo. This is an interaction point for your opponent, but you do have still full control because Sacrifice is a reaction that can go on top. And because it is as an additional cost, they can't interact with Echo because he will die to the Sacrifice right away in a way they don't have a chance to respond. So on this version of the loop, let's just say our opponent does not have a response. So Shadow Call goes to the trash and we will draw 2. You won't know the order on these 2, but we're going to put those off to the side because we want to establish our loop here. So we've drawn 2 by giving him temporary. Then we will use 1 more energy to play Sacrifice on Echo. Echo, when he dies, his Death Knell trigger will activate, and that'll be before the Sacrifice. So what you'll do is you will recycle him under here and restand all of your runes. Then you will go to resolve Sacrifice. You will draw the last 2 cards and channel a rune Exhausted. And now we find ourselves at the beginning state here with the same 3 cards in the trash, the same 4 cards in our hand, except we now have 2 energy here, and we have 11 runes active, but all 12 present. So if you look at this 2 as the same as 1 and 1, you will notice here that we have generated a brand new energy. Technically, this does stay rested though, and you just have a second one here. But because we don't have this one to rest, we will have to use the one extra that it looks like we have here. So just know that at the end of the loop, you have a positive 1 energy and a positive 1 recruit. So once we've demonstrated that loop and we're back to the spot where we are, you can say to your opponent, I've demonstrated the loop. You saw all of the cards that happen. The order of the recycle from Forge of the Future, while not deterministic, does not matter because you are drawing all of the cards. So there is no RNG that can get in there. So because you have demonstrated the loop, you now can say that you want to repeat that same loop any number of times. So let's just say that we choose to do it 100 times, and now we have 99 or so energy. I'm just gonna represent it as 99. You could pick 100 million energy, whichever. At this point, you now have 100 million recruits and 100 million energy. At that point, we can move on to loop 1B, which works just the same as our previous loop, but there's one difference. When I'm going to just use this Jinx as just a random card just to demonstrate that this can be done with any particular card. I'm going to start the loop just the same. Because I have infinite energy, I'm not going to worry about my energy this time. I'm going to play out Forge of the Future, makes another recruit. I'm going to shuffle 4 cards into my deck. I'm going to recycle the 1 rune and play Echo. Again, I still have infinite of these. This is to the trash from the recycle. I'm going to do Shadow's Call, and I'm going to do Sacrifice. Let's just say our opponent interacted in this situation where they wanted to do something to Echo or do something to Shadow's Call. We can still use Sacrifice here. And we will now draw or recycle Echo from the Sacrifice. Reset our runes. We already have all of infinite, so we're not going to worry about it. Draw 2. We happen to have drawn those 2. And then Shadow Call resolves. We draw 2. And so the difference with this loop is now we have Echo. He's the one card that we don't have accounted for right now. So we know that Echo is on the bottom. So the difference between 1A and 1B is we got 1 card out from the trash into our hand, and we put Echo into the deck. If you got another Echo here, then you could go through the loop again here, getting Forge. Then you would essentially have the same, just with an Echo here. That is just to demonstrate that you can do the loop and end with Echo in the last card in your deck, or as in your hand. 1A, you end up with everything back in your hand. 1B, you can end up with a single card instead of Echo. Okay, so that is the first loop demonstrated to make infinite energy and infinite slivers. The next loop that we need to worry about is what I'll call loop 2, which is how we can make infinite sprites. So let's reset back to our thing. Usually you're going to do an infinite loop of 1A and get to a point where you have infinite energy, infinite recruits. Now for loop 2, we're going to do a specific card here. Instead of Jinx, we're going to do Sprite Burst. If you had Sprite Burst in hand instead of in trash, then you can just pay it with some of your infinite energy to get it in trash. So let's set up a loop now where we're going to do Sprite Burst instead of that random card. So from our starting point here, we're going to pay 2 to play out Forge of the Future, make 1 more recruit, and recycle these 4, now including Sprite Burst, into the deck. Again, you do have to shuffle. And then This goes to the trash. Then you are going to play out Echo, recycling here. You're going to play Shadow's Call and Sacrifice. Echo will go to the bottom. Then you will draw 2, get 1. Then you will draw 2 from Shadow's Call, 1, 2. And now we have, just like with 1B, we have now our Sprite Call in our hand. Now, because we are playing Lux as our legend, we can play Sprite Burst to make 2 sprites. Let's do 2 of them, just kind of like this. We have 2 sprites, and because it costs 5, you can draw the Echo. And now, as you can see, we're back to our starting point with Sprite Burst in the trash, Echo and everything back in here, but we now have 2 extra sprites and 1 extra sliver and 1 extra energy. Now we have a second loop that we can demonstrate whereby we make infinite of the sprites. Then, once we have our infinite sprites, we can take both battlefields with our infinite sprites. Doesn't matter what our opponent has. They can't stun or deal with all of them. So you get to make infinite of them and conquer both battlefields. And that is an important step because if you have infinite sprites, you can definitely get 2 conquers. And then if your opponent cannot break them, then they will not be able to get a conquer themselves. Then on the following turn, you get to move in your infinite recruits. Again, if they can't break those, then these infinite recruits will win the game for you. But in the chance that you believe that they would be able to either deal with infinite recruits or with infinite spirits, there is one more loop that I'm going to call loop 3 that allows you to get infinite points right away. Again, I would not worry about this combo unless you think they can deal with infinite recruits and infinite sprites. So let's set back to our spot where we have captured the battlefields, we have infinite recruits in base, and we have our cards as they were. The next piece that you might need, or that you will need for that, is to make infinite energy. To make infinite energy, you need a little bit different setup. Here we have a retreat and a lecturing yordle. These need, the yordle needs to be in your hand. The it either needs to be in your hand or in the trash. So let's say it's in the trash. Then you execute 1B, getting you back the yordle, and these 3 will be in your hand. These 3 will be in the trash, and you'll have Echo here. Once you have Echo here, you can play out the yordle to draw here, and then you can, using the 1B again, you can either, if you have a retreat in hand, you can retreat the yordle right away, or you can retreat a recruit to get this into the, you can either retreat him right away, or if it's already in the trash, then you execute 1B again to get the retreat back to your hand. You cast the retreat on the yordle. He goes back to your hand. You play him back out to get Echo back. And in between playing the retreat, you can recycle for 1 extra power. We have a loop here with these cards in the retreat generating 1 extra power each time. And with that, we can go to 99 energy as well. You can end the loop in either spot here, just depends on convenience. For just the convenience of explaining it, I'm going to end the loop with retreat in the trash and the yordle in my hand. Depending on when you get the retreat, you can choose to stop at any of the points where the where you essentially have an empty library, essentially, is where you want to stop. Now that we are having infinite power, infinite energy, infinite recruits, infinite sprites here, there is one last piece to the combo, which requires us get Fiora Worthy and Rally the Troops. With these, you can you should have the Fiora and just have these in hand. To start, you're going to play out Fiora. She's going to be rested like this. Oh, and one more card that I have to add in post. This is Renata, the blue Renata. So you're going to play out Fiora. You're going to execute loop 1B, getting any random card out of your trash and leaving Echo in your deck. Then you're going to cast Rally the Troops to get Echo back. Now we're back to a point where Rally the Troops makes it to where whenever a unit enters, it will enter with a extra power, or it'll enter and gain an extra buff. So from this point here, we have an active Rally the Troops. We have Renata in hand. We're going to execute 1B, getting any random card, let's just say it's Rally the Troops, back to our hand. Echo in the trash. We will play Renata to the battlefield. Rally the Troops is going to give her a buff, which lets us recycle one of our, or pay one of our powers here to make Renata active. Then we're going to use Renata's tap ability to generate 1 point. Then we play the Forge. We're going to recycle Shadow's Call, Sacrifice, and Forge. These are going underneath Echo in a random order, but we're going to demonstrate the loop here. Then we're going to play Shadow's Call on Renata, and then Sacrifice on Renata. 1, 2. We've gotten a point here. After that, we're going to do, we have an empty deck. Then we're going to do our 1B again, playing out this, getting back, the Sacrifice puts Renata in the trash, sorry. Then we're going to do 1B, essentially trading Echo for Renata in our hand. Then we can play out Renata again, use another thing, make another point, and go again with our Shadow's Call, Sacrifice. Yeah, essentially we have the loop again. We're demonstrating the loop. Essentially what you do differently is you have to do part of 1A to get back to an empty library, and then 1B to get Renata back. And then 1A, and then 1B, and then 1A, and then 1B. Each time you are generating an extra point with Renata, who I'll have to edit in post here. So that is a way that if you have all of those cards and your opponent doesn't have interaction, you can win right on the spot. Again, the main thing I think that will win in most situations is going to be your infinite recruits or infinite sprites. Don't worry too much about doing the Renata loop unless you absolutely have to. It's a lot more sensitive to removal. And if your opponent's going to be able to deal with infinite recruits, infinite sprites, and then they deal with Renata, it just wasn't meant to be. Some opponents will be able to play around it, but that is just going to be the way the cookie crumbles at the end of the day. So I hope you guys enjoyed my fumbling through this. It was a little complicated, but I hope you guys were able to follow. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll do my best to try to explain the lines, and I will see you guys next week. I will unfortunately not be able to participate in my Nexus Night next week, so if this combo is still not banned by the following week, I might try it out. I'll see what you guys want me to do in a poll at that time. But until then, I will have to say goodbye. Bye.